Hello and welcome to Points of Interest. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, along with my co-host, James, over here.
Hey, guys.
If you're new to the show, each week we get... I'm going to go back just a part of a sentence. If you're new to the show, each week we collect video game news and stories from around the internet and bring them here for your viewing and listening pleasure.
You get good correction. I like it.
Yeah, I didn't feel like starting the whole show over again.
No, you did a good 5 seconds. Let's not go back and do it.
Stop. Center yourself. Just like...
Right.
You can get the show on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher for the audio versions. For the video versions, you go to YouTube or VidMe. Follow us on Twitter at IRGames. Stay up to date with what we're doing. We'll tweet out a bunch of links, tweet out some questions, talk about topics we talk about in the show. Mm-hmm. But yeah, catch up with us there.
Yeah.
This is
probably going to be the last podcast on SoundCloud. Okay. Should be making the move next week. Assuming all the RSS feed stuff goes smoothly for me. It should. All it shows already established everywhere, so it should just be copy-paste the new link. We'll find out next week.
We will find out.
So we'll let you know. Twitter at IRGames.
Truth. To start the show, tonight, topic number 1. Destiny 2's expansions are going to be very important for the overall health and success of the shooter, according to publisher Activision.
Duh.
So, the article I found, which I didn't open because I'm a dum-dum.
That's okay.
The title of it is what kind of grabbed me. It says Destiny 2 DLC could be as important as the main game, Activision says, which is kind of a... for me.
I will say, even before we get into the article, comment section on Destiny articles are just awful. They're terrible.
Never go to the comment section.
So, some games, comment sections are okay. With Destiny, it just seems like cancer. Pure, unadulterated cancer. It's awful.
Well, just such a community that cares about their game so much.
Yeah. That
it's just going to be all positive, or it's going to be hellfire and brimstone no matter what.
And it is, and it's all oh man, you guys are cutting out stuff from the game to sell it as DLC.
Yeah. The basis behind the article I get, because the expansions for Destiny 1 were pretty much all of the game came from.
Yeah.
The things we kept from vanilla Destiny was mechanics and characters.
And that was barely at that point.
They even changed out a voice actor from vanilla Destiny. So, yeah. I get it. So, Activision Publishing CEO Eric Hirschberg says, quote, "We received mostly universally positive feedback from both press and fans alike." Mm-hmm. And they're continuing to close strong, end quote. So, it might just be where we were. So, we heard both sides of the feedback.
Right.
So, from us and some of the friends we played online with, oh man, this DLC is great. We know that it's going to be in this MMO style, so it's going to be kind of a pay to keep playing kind of situation. You can keep playing vanilla Destiny if you want to, but if you want to stay with everyone else, you got to buy the DLCs, and it kind of worked out.
That end game stuff.
We also had a friend back in Kansas City who couldn't buy more games that year.
Yep.
He maybe could have, but it's just I don't want to spend my 2 to 3 video games budget this year on just Destiny.
Exactly.
So it's kind of I can't keep going, so this is where I get off the Destiny train, which kind of sucks.
It does. I think it's, when we're talking about what Destiny 1's DLC structure was like, a lot of the complaints came from the vanilla packs that we saw with Dark Below and with the House Wolves. House Wolves didn't even have a raid. The Prison of Elders stuff was really cool, but it wasn't a raid.
Yeah, it was fun, but you could do it every week, but it was still, it wasn't
there was a lot of cool options, but it did not offer the same amount of time as something like a raid does.
True.
And so I think the problem when we talk about Destiny DLC is not Taken King, it's not Rise of Iron. Those are the positives. That's where they're talking about closing strong and going out with a bang. Yeah. That was what the future structure is going to be. When we're talking about the initial DLC, the ones that was actually cut out of the game, a lot of times people are like, "Oh man, that's not true." It really is. That's what happens. There's a huge knowledge base and stuff about that out there. You guys can go look it up. But when you talk about Destiny 1, they had to redo the story. They cut a bunch of stuff. That's why some of the stuff didn't make sense. They didn't have tie-ins properly. So that's when a majority of people hear DLC with Destiny, that's what they think of. And so there's backlash when they're talking about how important the DLC is, but it's because they don't understand the transition that they made. And I'm not going to sit here and defend Activision because, Activision's a greedy, nasty, awful company, right? Yeah. So it's when I hear people complain about it, it's almost like a little asterisk we should put there.
Wait, they're not talking about just all the DLCs. They're I would assume they're aiming for more of these kind of like cornerstones.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
More
DLCs are
often.
going to be this.
And they're going to be more often, and they're going to have more stuff in
Yeah.
it.
So
It can be more rewarding.
he talked about the pre-orders have been really strong, and a lot of them have been for the premium versions, which include the season passes, what we got.
Yep.
They're bringing on Vicarious Visions and High Moon Studios to work alongside Bungie
Really
for
cool.
developing DLCs.
It's really awesome.
They're widening their... Hirschberg said, quote, widening the stable of developers. Oh, that makes sense. Widening a stable of developers to keep up with the demand for more content, which makes sense. Like, Bungie alone,
It is.
trying to satisfy this entire giant Destiny community, like, okay, like, they did a really good job. Like, of being better job than most.
True.
Of being, like, in the community, like, they're in Reddit, and like, okay, we hear you, we want these things, this is what we want, this is what we want. And majority demands
Eventually
offer more
made
net.
it there.
Yes.
I think that's the thing. I don't think anyone expected Destiny to not only take off like it did, but then to have such a strong player base for such a long time. And they weren't prepared for what was going to come. So awesome.
That's really cool. That makes me happy as well, too.
Yeah, it is. So these are some of the new screenshots they actually had out this week of this glory. And so I think when we talk about the scope of it, and they're talking about bringing in studios, Vicarious Visions and High Moon Studios, they've both done other stuff. They've both done good work, so they're good established studios. They're not
Vicarious
like
most recently
huge. There you go. But they don't do like huge AAA like brand new titles. But to definitely come in and share the workload, to have that DLC come out more often. The concern is what we had in vanilla DLC in the vanilla game, right, where we had like 5 or 6 months till Dark Below, and then like 3 or 4 or 5 months, whatever, to House of Wolves, and then it was just dry.
Yeah.
And then we had the Taken King later, that was kind of like year 2, right, and you had to buy it. So it's a much different structure before. You know, when Luke Smith took over as Taken King as the director of everything, and he took over the story, he took over the planning and stuff of it, we saw a huge shift in how they told the story and how they marketed DLC, right? And so with Dark Below, you had your items, right? You had like your main quests and strikes, and like right now's it, right? And House of Wolves is basically the same thing. And when you get to Taken King, Rise of Iron, you had those same things, but you had a ton of side
stories
stuff open
and
up.
stuff.
You had actual stories. You had interactions with people. It was a way different kind of DLC. And so when I hear what they're talking about with this being more important maybe than the main game, I think that's true. Because the main game is the main game, but what are you going to do 3 months later? People always complain about not having enough content, wanting to get it more often. It's like, well, if we gave you all the content we gave you over the course of 3 years, play it in 3 months and you're done.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a problem with drip feeding content as long as the content is robust.
That's
like
the thing.
last couple
Like,
DLCs.
there does need to be a drip. And I don't have a problem with how the timeline that they released the DLC on. The worry I have with it is the way they're phrasing as important as.
Mm-hmm.
And this could be me just being gun shy from Destiny 1. But with games out there like Grand Theft Auto 5 and Battlefront 2 coming out that are dropping all kinds of great DLC for free.
Mm-hmm.
Like GTA 5 has been putting out phenomenal DLCs.
Right.
If you haven't like seen any of this stuff, like I think the most recent one was the Gun Runners. They just put out these new vehicles and like adds a ton of fun for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not as beefy as the stuff we're getting from Destiny, but you also paid $60, and that's what GTA 5 has been out for how long now? So it's a huge player base surviving on free DLC.
It's true.
And I know it's kind of a case of devs need to be paid, but
I mean,
that first game has got to be something that's
Oh, yeah.
worth $60 in order for me to feel good about having spent $60 on it.
Right.
Not that I felt bad about spending $60 on Destiny because of how much time I put into it.
Oh yeah.
But that first game's got to be $60 worth of stuff, and the next thing's got to live up to whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a tough line to toe. Nope, we're not ready for that. Jeez.
Stop.
But so we want to talk about what Destiny 2 looks like, and I think it has to have that big stuff. But if we don't have DLCs like the Taken King, like the Rise of Iron, that add 15, 20, 30 hours at least of just like good, solid content, then I think that's where the focus is. So we don't want to just deliver it and then just like trickle down and mail it in. Like I think that's what he was going for when he says this. So it'll be interesting to see. I think it's fair. I don't mind paying extra as content comes out in Destiny because of the scale of it. I think it's fair. the amount of time that I'm going to put into it. Right, this is not a couple of DLC maps in Call of Duty that I might spend 2 or 3 hours in collectively, which you still have to pay for. Battlefront,
pay about the same amount for it too.
Well, with Battlefront coming out, Battlefront 2, all their maps and DLC is going to be free. That's huge. That's a big change. Again, that's a very small microcosm.
Small chunk.
And that's not going to fly for something that's trying to be an MMO like Destiny 2.
Yeah. Oh, well, how much is the Destiny 2 season pass? Like $30?
I think if it was standalone, it'd be 40. It's 20 for DLC.
40. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. Like,
it sounds right.
They're worth that amount of money
mm-hmm.
for the amount of content you're getting. It's different when we were looking at Battlefront 1, and the season pass was $50 for new maps, and so this is like $40 for 2 sets of DLCs, 2 sets of storylines, 2 new raids, like a bunch of stuff. So at the end of the day, it's worth it, but it's phrased funny, and we're all a little bit like
gun shy.
Yeah, from Destiny 1. Before we get too far away from Destiny,
while
we're on this subject,
I could always do more Destiny.
Oh, always Destiny. We spend too much time in Destiny, maybe.
Is there too much?
Is there ever too much Destiny? I think not, especially when you can stay up drinking Rockstar and eating Pop-Tarts. Hey-oh! Yeah! Destiny 2 wants you to buy Pop-Tarts and Rockstar energy drink. This reminds me, and I was in my brain, I had to sit there and think, like, I feel like this has happened before, and it was the Red Bull thing.
Yeah, Red Bull.
Remember, I drank a lot of Red Bull when that came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got the XP tokens, and that actually had a specific quest line that they unlocked, like, a couple months later.
Yeah.
For everyone. This was just, like, an early access to it. As far as we can tell, it's only looking like XP boost, maybe like a shader. But they haven't really said what they're doing. Both the cans and the Pop-Tart's supposed to release September 1st. I had a little bit of trouble finding that date. September 1st, when we're supposed to start getting it. I'm excited. It's silly.
It'll be fun.
But I like Rockstar. That's my favorite energy drink. And
it is not mine.
I like Pop-Tarts.
I will drink Rockstar just to get these XP tokens.
Pop-Tarts are the best. We'll see.
You ever had butter on a Pop-Tart?
Ooh, it's so freaking good. But I will drink your Rockstar for you. You can buy it.
Well, I'll drink it. I will suck it up and drink the Rockstar. I'm saying if I'm picking an energy drink, I'm going to get Red Bull.
It is cool. Rockstar makes sense. Pop-Tarts is weird. That doesn't make sense.
Pop-Tarts is a weird choice.
It's not like it's owned by the same company. I mean, these are two wildly different things.
Yeah.
Whoever thought, man, you know what would go really good with a Rockstar? Nice, warm Pop-Tart.
Or even a cold one.
Gross.
Room temperature.
Disgusting.
You ever room temperature Pop-Tarts?
Toaster.
Oh, if you're like on the go, like you just grab a Pop-Tart and run.
I mean, it's not bad, but
toaster choice. Yeah,
butter and toaster. Well, butter after the toaster.
Butter after toaster.
You gotta just...
If you don't know, order, it gets a little weird.
If you guys don't know about it, you put the butter, you warm up your Pop-Tart, spread a little bit of butter on the frosted side. I thought it was the back side for a while. There's a weird way to do it. But you put it on the frosted side. Because if you're eating Pop-Tarts and they're not frosted, you're eating the wrong Pop-Tarts. Stop it. Don't eat unfrosted Pop-Tarts.
All I want is a completely frosted Pop-Tart.
Yeah.
That's all I've ever wanted in
life.
life.
The corners.
Like,
make it. This is a thing that should happen.
I see it like drudge down to the corners at the bottom of the Pop-Tart.
Right.
Like you can clearly cover this whole thing. Like you cover the whole top side and then you flip it over and you cover the bottom side and you hand me that thing. If we can get Captain Crunch, oops, all berries, we can get fully covered Pop-Tarts.
I would definitely pay double the price of a regular Pop-Tart if it was all frosted.
100%.
Not even like a competition.
All frosted is better.
I don't want an off-brand one because those taste like animal crackers and that's disgusting, nasty.
So bad.
This is just nothing that I would spend more money on Pop-Tarts.
My favorite quote from this article, as I was reading through it, Dave Thier, I'm not sure how to say his last name, Thier, Thier, I don't know what to say. He says, quote, "I will likely be buying some because if I say to myself I will not buy the Pop-Tarts in exchange for some sweet shader or something, I begin to call into question my entire role in late-stage capitalism, increasingly influenced by virtual goods, and I'd rather not, to be honest." That quote made me happy on just like a deeper level.
Alright, what we got next? We'll move on from Destiny here.
Alright, moving on to Splatoon 2.
Yeah!
Splatoon 2's online is inexplicable, yet it's one of the best online experiences of the year. We've got 2 windows open, it's kind of covering it. So I saw this pop up, and I thought we'd talk about it. We played in the last beta, in the last
It was like the world's like first like Splatfest or something.
Yeah.
And it was cake versus ice cream. Almost everybody chose ice cream. If you don't know what a Splatfest
Or
is...
getting matched up in a lobby with everybody.
If it was a Splatfest, if you don't know what it is 2 sides. What you do is a few days before in the Splatfest lobby, or Splatoon, like the Inkopolis, I think is what it's called. They'll have like 2 booths, or they'll have a booth, and you'll go over there and you pick which side you prefer. So this last week they did, it was mayo and ketchup.
Ketchup, no.
Mayo.
No.
Hardcore. I mean, I hate ketchup. I eat my hot dogs plain because I hate ketchup so much.
You're just the weirdest person.
I am the weirdest person. So this one was actually a little bit more evenly matched. The ketchup actually came out ahead popularity, but mayo ended up winning because they were better, obviously. That's just a cool little thing that they do, right? Splatfest. Very unique thing. We don't see that a lot. It's a 24-hour event. And that's everybody that's playing is playing Splatfest, and your goal is to win. You rank up, you get rewards, I think, all that kind of stuff. So it's cool. It's a unique thing. But the way you do online is weird. It's very Nintendo.
Almost broken and not quite broken as I think it could possibly be.
Right.
Like, we tried to play together.
Yep.
And we wanted to, whatever it's called, like a squad.
Yeah, you squad up.
Wanted to squad up, and you can't just do it with 2 players. Like, we try to hop in with 2 players, and it's like waiting for 2 more players. I'm like, you can't just play with 2 players?
Yep.
You have to have a full team of 4.
I was thinking maybe that would just be like from the global Splatfest. I was like, nope. It's like still a thing that they're doing. Like, you have to have 4.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they changed it, whatever. It's, you have to have 4. So they say when you're talking about playing Splatoon 2 with your friends, they say it's basically impossible unless you have 4 friends.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you can't do it. It's very difficult to get
It's hard enough to find friends because you have to use friend codes.
That's right. Friend codes are ridiculous and stupid and inane. And obviously you're not going to use voice chat because you got to use a separate app on your phone.
Or use Discord or something.
Yeah, I was going to say other people are just using
chat.
Discord at that point.
Have to have the Switch open and the PS4 controller out so we can use chat.
It's stupid and annoying. So, outside of all that, if you're jumping in solo, the actual gameplay, the actual stuff you're doing is incredible.
Yeah.
Very different, very unique. Looks great. It was a lot of fun when we got in and played. Unique weapons, more than 1 map, I would assume.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
We hope to more than that.
One thing I noticed in the article that he talked about was that the game modes rotate. Like, you don't always have all the game modes available.
Interesting.
And in those game modes, some of the maps rotate. So you would have, like, these 2 or 3 maps for, like, 2 hours. And then it would shift to other maps. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm, like, 90% sure that's what it said. And so it's interesting, kind of weird, kind of cool. You know, it's just a weird thing that they're doing with it.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm sold on Splatoon 2 yet.
I mean,
it's one of those things, like, I played it and it was fun.
Yeah.
But man, I just don't know for me if it's $60.
I don't think it's a $60 thing. I mean, they do have a single player element to it in terms of, like, I think there's a story of some sort. This is what Inkopolis looks like during an event. As you can see, there's a crazy party going on. There's loud bumping music. It's nighttime. And you've got the 2 different DJs up there at the front.
Yeah.
So you can see here this person picked Mayo because they are a nice human being.
They're just misguided.
So it's interesting. One thing that bugs me about the multiplayer, I think, is not being able to do everything all the time. They have certain game modes that just aren't available for blocks of time. Seems like a weird way to limit a game that's already very, kind of small in scope a little bit.
Sales numbers of both these games, but I'm not getting good ones for Splatoon 2.
I do know that they're looking good.
Yeah, they're looking good, and like
they're
selling like gangbusters.
Right.
Partly, I feel like because there's not a lot of games on the Switch right now, so it's just like, all right, people that just on the Switch, I'm gonna get Splatoon 2. But I heard an interesting question proposed the other day. Do we think that the Switch is going to be a good platform to like revive failed Wii U titles? Because Wii U didn't sell well.
I mean,
therefore, games on it did not sell well.
It could. I mean, the install base is higher for something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost out of the gate. It's already creeping up on the Wii U's install base.
Sure.
And as more consoles get made, more people are going to buy it. Splatoon 2, for example, actually had like their sales numbers, I believe, in the first couple weeks are higher than it was for Zelda in like Japan. Right over there, Splatoon 2 is huge. It's a monster of a thing, just like Splatoon.
Very
Zelda's not
Japanese
really
seeming game.
Yeah, I mean, Zelda is very much like a Western world kind of thing. Yeah. So there's definitely people out here that love it. Everybody I've talked to that actually plays it says this is really good. But when we look at the possibilities for the Switch, in terms of the Wii U games, things like that, I think it's a no-brainer that you're going to start to see franchises come over. I think everyone was maybe a little hesitant to come over because they didn't know what the console was going to be like, and they already got burned by the Wii U. So I think a lot of stuff that maybe would have started in development 3 or 4 years ago when it was still codenamed like Nintendo NX probably didn't happen. This is just speculation. This is just guessing. But I'm guessing that now that they've got their hands on the console, they've worked with it for the last year or two, they see that it's actually got the potential, and they see these sales numbers now. I don't think we see... I mean, we've pretty much had everything announced in the next 6 to 8 months that we're going to see on the Switch. I don't think we're going to have any huge surprises. What? I know. But I do think we're going to have that Pokemon mainline game coming probably 2018. There's a lot of stuff coming up that has a really good potential. I think we're going to see lots of stuff start to come over from the Wii. I think we'll see something like Super Mario Maker. Well,
they announced
there's got to be a Mario Brothers game.
The next Nintendo World Championships coming up in October. Yeah. It's a kind of a weird day. I'm going to look it up, but there's some speculation out there that this could be announcing either Smash Brothers for Switch or Mario Maker.
I mean, either one of those would be huge. So I honestly, I think we'll start to see stuff for Virtual Console before we'll start to see a lot of remakes come over. My guess is a lot of the developers may or may not be banking on that. It's we already have a game that runs great on the Wii U that nobody plays.
Yeah.
Let's just push the Virtual Console. So I think it's something that it's inevitable, as it passes the Wii U install base and actually sells units and starts to become in stock in stores. I keep checking every day. Just every time I go to the store, I always look, and I think I've seen 2 Switch consoles in the last 2 months.
Jeez.
So it's still selling everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
So
Nintendo World Championships, October 7th, 2017, New York City.
I'm sure
Manhattan Center's Grand Ballroom. So you can go to the website nwc.nintendo.com. Mm-hmm. There's 4 qualifier weekends at 8 locations coming all over the place. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, jump on it.
That's something.
We won't be there. No. The next thing, it's kind of something you brought up. So, it is... Isn't it? No, it's not.
Nope.
It is not. Nope. I skipped part of my notes. Sorry, I've been I didn't situate my windows well. I was trying to find a better way to keep track of time and stay with my notes. I was scrolling up and down.
You're good.
All right. Just kidding. The next thing is Shadow of War.
Yes, it is.
Will we have to pay to win Shadow of War?
This hurts me. I was very surprised by this when you showed me this today.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday after we did some Let's Plays. Mm-hmm. But the news announced over this weekend has thrilled fans across the world. Sorry,
you're on Reddit.
I didn't read that very well.
/S.
Has thrilled fans across the world. So one top Reddit post. That's a great way for me not to get to buy.
That's a great way to get me to not buy this game.
You almost didn't say it either. All right, maybe we need to start over.
It didn't thrill people very well.
So basically, there's going to be loot boxes and war chests.
Yep.
And so you can buy one with just the regular in-game currency, which has escaped me. What the name is?
Mirian.
Mirian and gold. So Mirian is just the stuff you earn in-game, I assume quite a bit. Yep. Gold is the stuff that you earn a little bit of, but you can use real money to buy gold to then buy loot crates.
Yep. To get you things.
That get you things. And the things aren't just cosmetic. Yeah. Things are things for your character. There are orcs you can buy to man your fortresses and
your army. And
just
and
ways
there's,
to win.
There's XP boosts for Talion. There's
Talion. That's his name.
There's a few other things. So there is a lot of cosmetic stuff, and then there's some non-cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, that's the important part. I'm okay with microtransactions that are purely cosmetic.
It's true. I mean, it's a single-player game.
Yeah.
I don't get why we need to do this. He talks. He's a lot of interesting facts here. This is apparently what it's going to look like. It looks like a loot box. This looks like Battlefield 1. This looks like Overwatch. This looks like Lawbreakers. Like all this stuff. It's typical loot breaker stuff.
Things in all those games. It's all cosmetic.
But yeah, everything's cosmetic.
Cosmetic.
I mean, where they basically sold it as if you want to skip past these things to get these things, go ahead. Everything in the loot boxes and war chests and all that crap, you can earn in-game through in-game currency, through doing things in-game It's all there. There's nothing that you're going to do with these chesty chests that you can't do normally. It's basically just speeding up the process.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that Monolith pointed out.
Yeah.
Is like, you can buy these things and bypass some of the time you would take to earn these things and put more bases in, which then kind of begs the question, are you just putting an extra run time for the game that I don't need to play?
What am I skipping? Am I skipping stuff you don't think is very good?
Yeah, Jason Schreier, who wrote the article over on Kotaku, said, it's one thing when a $60 game offers microtransactions for cosmetics. It's quite another when the game wants you to pay to cut down on, quote, some of the additional time that would have been spent winning more battles, tracking nemesis, completing quests, and assaulting fortresses, end quote. It'll be impossible to play Shadow of War without getting that nagging feeling that the game is full of padding that you should be paying to avoid. And that's kind of the end of the Kotaku quote. But I thought that was a great point.
Yeah.
Now, I won't be sitting there thinking that, because I'm not going to buy this stuff. Nope. I'm going to get the game. I will play the crap out of the game, but I will play it through just like I'm playing it through. Yeah. I don't need to spend money on this kind of thing.
Exactly.
It's just, that's ridiculous.
And I just don't, it's a single player game. We shouldn't have stuff like, there's no point. There's no reason to, other than to make money. That's it. They're trying to make more money.
And I think this is actually more on the fault of Warner Brothers than it is all mine.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily blame the developer.
Yeah.
I don't love the system. I don't think it's good for the game. I don't think it's necessarily healthy.
Yeah.
That being said, a lot of times the argument is like, well, if you don't like it, then don't do it. Like, I'm not going to.
I won't.
Don't worry.
Put it in my wallet like I should.
But I'm still going to get the game. I don't think this affects my gameplay. I am nervous based on that they're okay with this. Like, what does that spell for the future of the game?
Yeah.
How many more things are going to come in that are microtransaction based that it's going to transition from like, oh, you can earn all this stuff in games. Like, look at this thing you could only get from loot boxes like 6 months down the road, a year down the road.
They can do that when their game is $20 or free.
Yeah.
That's when you can put in microtransactions and be like, hey, pay $20, get this extra stuff that will take you forever to earn if you do it via the free route.
Oh, yeah.
And just, the game doesn't have a lot going for it in terms of, besides it's kind of like cult following. It's being released in the middle of October, surrounded by Assassin's Creed Origins and Super Mario Odyssey. And so now they put in this microtransactions thing. It's like, if people were on the fence of like, am I going to buy Shadow of War or am I going to buy Assassin's Creed? Like, I'm probably just going to buy Assassin's Creed at this point, honestly.
Get the other one later.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I agree. It's I don't love the decision. It doesn't sway me, but I read in the comment section alone on Kotaku, which is actually a better comment section than most places. And there was people in there that said the same thing. It was like, all right, well, I guess I'm not going to buy it right now. I'll wait till it's on sale. Or I'm going to wait till the reviews come out. I'm going to wait till these scores come out and see how bad it is. If we talk about games with like paid stuff, like they look at like Rainbow Six Siege, we don't really play it, but they have a ton of characters in it that you can unlock through in-game currency. Oh, that sounds great. Or you can pay and get them ahead of time. Cool, but it's a huge gap. It's like a ridiculous amount of hours and time to unlock characters. It's just such a grindy grind fest. It's not even fun.
Which is what you do if you're playing Rainbow Six Siege.
Right, so it's not like that big a deal, but that's kind of my concerns. Like, how much more are we going to have to work at it when people are just able to buy it? You know, if I want to be like, I want to get all the things, how bad is that barrier going to be?
The trick is like there shouldn't be a trophy or an achievement tied to having things
I'm sure there's
that you can buy.
Can't imagine
that can't be a thing that can happen.
Like collect all the legendary orcs or something.
Yeah. When I first read this, I was like, okay, single player game. If you want to buy and speed up the game, no problem. There's no online capability or anything that's talking to anybody else that would indicate I'm beating them in some way because I bought stuff. Yeah. Well, boy howdy, there's an online leaderboard. Ranked online. You seeing the fly?
No, I need to clean this table.
Oh. But there's ranked online leaderboards. So if you want to do that, which I don't, because who cares about this process? You're not infiltrating somebody else's bases.
Yeah, it's just like
it's not to my knowledge.
Like
if I'm misunderstanding how this works, then let me know.
But I'm pretty sure there's no PvP at all. So
yeah, it's just like, what's the point of it? And if I am doing it and I'm sitting there and there's a guy ahead of me that's constantly ahead of me, it's like, okay, is he playing more than I am, or is he spending more money than I am?
Yeah, it's online leaderboards don't really bother me. I like how they do it in Just Cause 3, despite all the bugs, because it's cool. Like, I can do an event and it shows me moving up as I do better at it. Cool. That's a nice, easy way to do it without me like having to chase something or feel like I need to achieve something. So we'll see when the game comes out. I'm not happy with the news, but it's not going to sway me purchasing it mainly because I know I'm going to like the game.
Yeah. Yep. So Now, James, this next one is something you brought up.
It is.
Do you want to talk about it?
I did. It is. I do. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. It's made by Ninja Theory, who did Enslaved. They did the latest Devil May Cry. They've done some really good games. They are, I wouldn't say like a AAA studio. You know, a lot of their games are a little bit smaller.
Like a Devil May.
I mean, yeah, I would say that. So this one was, I've started seeing stuff for this a few months ago. There's a lot of dev diaries for it that just kind of went unnoticed. My first thing when I see her is she kind of looks like Aloy.
Yeah, I was watching
Aloy, like
the trailer.
She didn't eat for a month.
Her movement and kind of a little bit of the feeling
Almost
of the way the gameplay feels a lot like Horizon.
And so, Hellblade, if you don't know, it's a shorter game. It's like 6 to 8 hours, but it's $30 in digital only. That's okay, great. If I'm playing the game for 6 to 8 hours, I'm not paying for $60 worth of it. Looking at you, order 1886. Gross. So this game, I definitely can't play it. I watched some trailers for it. I watched some things. And they tell you flat out you need to play it with headphones. Like, you have to.
Yeah, they said headphones or surround sound is the way to do it.
Yeah, it is. And even, like, surround sound's not going to quite give you what that headphones are going to feel.
The trailer was, like, creepy.
It is. It's a creepy game. So the idea is that you're going through this game and you're trying to redeem or save your long-lost lover. That's what it is. It's got a lot of Norse mythology in it, which is pretty cool. But it's more of a psychological horror game to it. Very interesting art style.
That's where you get these Aloy vibes.
Yep, for sure. Same, like, you're not in the center of your screen. You're off to the side a little bit.
Thread situation going on.
Little thirds. So it's very much a psychological, like, thriller, horror type game because you're hearing voices. And there's no UI at all. It's not just turned off these screenshots. No UI. And the voices you hear are what guide you. And she's insane. Like, she's absolutely insane. She's gone through the ringer. And these voices are going to guide you. They'll tell you when stuff is behind you, and you turn around. And that's how you know stuff's behind you, right?
Yeah.
They'll taunt you when you're going down a path, and they'll make you think you're going down the wrong path. They'll try to convince you of other things. They'll question you. They'll make fun of you. It's voices in your head. You know, it's like a schizo. So it's crazy.
It's very much supposed to be a game that's kind of pointed. It's a very pointed meaning of like mental illness.
It is unsettling.
Yeah.
And I was watching a review today, and they said the combat it's pretty basic. It's kind of similar to Dark Souls. You got your dodge, you got your light attack, you got your heavy attack, you got your block, and your you can do a little bit of I can't remember counter. That's the one, block counter. But very basic. It looks cool. You do a lot of slashing. You have a sword. Combat's like maybe he said like 20% of the game. A lot of it is going around experiencing the game. I really wish there was a physical release. I could go rent it and check it out. But it is only $30.
Yeah,
so,
right. Here we go. Here's some of the fun vibes of this game.
And so you can imagine while you're doing this, have headphones on.
Voice, like
you're hearing voices behind you. You're hearing different bitch voices. The interesting thing, you'll see it on her arm a little bit here. If we go back to the other screenshot, Mr. Controller, you can see it right here. What do they call this stuff?
If you can see it on the shot. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. This dark part.
Yeah.
That's down. It's called the dark rot.
There you go. That's what it is. So it's in... I watched a video that was like the first 15 minutes of gameplay, and it was in there. It shows you how that happens. And basically, the more you die and the more things happen to you, it starts to grow up your arm. And if it gets to your head, permadeath. You're done. Save file's gone. Start over. A lot of people have talked about it and said, nah, it's a bluff, man. I died a whole bunch at one point and it didn't do anything. And then some people have come out and said that you have to die multiple times through multiple checkpoints, like over the whole thing.
Yeah.
You can't just, if you die 30
If you're dying a bunch of times at the same checkpoint,
it's not
and it's just like, okay, like, you're not actually dying.
So we don't know the specifics of it. I'm sure
I'm curious if it does actually, like, eat your save.
I'm sure
it's just like...
I'm sure it's gone. I bet you